Hi guys. So here we are. It's officially December the 1st and it's Christmas. I'm just so excited for everything about this season and I just can't wait. Which is kind of funny because Advent means is like a waiting time. It literally means waiting. But we're not waiting anymore. Let's crack out those music boxes and gingerbread houses and let's get fat. So I'm going to start reading second half of the first chapter, which begins on December the 1st. So we're starting from when Joachim had hung up his advent calendar above his bed and he's just lying in bed thinking before he falls asleep. So The Christmas Mystery by Jostein Gaarder. December the 1st. When he woke up again, it was 7 o'clock. He reached up and tried to open the first door, but his fingers were so impatient that it was so difficult to hold it properly. At last he managed to loosen a tiny corner, and the door opened slowly. Joachim gazed at a picture of a toy store. Among all the toys and the people were a little lamb and a small girl, but he couldn't look more closely at the picture because, just as he opened the door, something fell out on his bed. He picked it up. It was a thin sheet of paper, folded over and over. He smoothed it out and saw that there was writings on both sides. He began to read. "Elizabeth!" her mother called after her. "Come back, Elizabeth!" Elizabeth Hansen had been standing staring at the big pile of teddy bears and stuffed animals while her mother was buying Christmas presents for the cousins who lived in Toten. All of a sudden, a little lamb popped out of the pile, jumped to the floor, and looked around. It had a bell around its neck, and the bell started to jingle in competition with all the cash registers. How could a toy suddenly come to life? Elizabeth was so surprised that she started to chase the lamb. It was running across the floor of the department store in the direction of the escalator. Little lamb, she called after it. The lamb was now on the escalator, which led to the floor below. The escalator moved quickly, and the lamb leaped even faster, so that Elizabeth had to run faster than the escalator and the lamb together to catch up with it. "Come back, Elizabeth!" repeated her mother severely. But Elizabeth had already jumped on the escalator. She could see the lamb running across the ground floor, where they sold underwear and ties. As soon as she had solid ground beneath her feet again, she went the same way as the lamb. It had bounded out to the street, where the snowflakes were dancing amid all the strings of Christmas lights hanging from the streetlights. Elizabeth knocked over a display of winter gloves and followed it. The street was so noisy that she could only just hear the bell jingling over the church road. But Elizabeth did not give up. She was determined to pat the lamb's soft fleece. "Little lamb, little lamb!" The lamb dashed across the road against the light. Perhaps it thought a red man and the traffic light meant go, and a green man meant stop. Elizabeth thought she had heard that sheep were colorblind. At any rate, the lamb didn't stop at the red man on the light, so Elizabeth couldn't stop either. She was going to catch up with the lamb, even if she had to follow it to the ends of the earth. The car honked their horns, and a motorcycle had to swerve into the sidewalk to avoid colliding with Elizabeth or with the little lamb. The people doing the Christmas shopping stared. They didn't often see a little girl running across Church Road against the light to catch a lamb. In any case, it was unusual to be running after a lamb in the middle of winter. As they ran, Elizabeth heard the church clock strike 3. She noticed it especially because she knew she had come to town on the 5 o'clock bus. Perhaps the clock hands had become so tired of going in the same direction year after year that they had suddenly begun to go in the opposite way instead. Elizabeth thought that clocks, too, might get bored with doing the same thing all the time. But there was something else. When Elizabeth had gone into the department store, It had been almost completely dark outside. Now it was light again, and that was odd, because there had been no night in between. As soon as the lamb had the chance, it turned onto a road leading out of town and trotted on towards some woods. It leaped onto a path between tall pine trees. Now it had to slow down a little, because the path was covered with the snow that had been falling during the past few days. Elizabeth went after it. It was difficult for her to run too, but the lamb had 4 legs that were dragging in the snow, while she only had 2. Perhaps that would help her catch up. Her mother's cries had been drowned long ago by the noise in the street. Soon she couldn't even hear the street sounds, but something was still singing in her ears. Should we buy this one or that one? What do you think, Elizabeth? Perhaps the lamb had come to life and run away from the big store because it could not bear to listen to all the cash registers and the talk about buying and selling. And perhaps that was why Elizabeth was following in it. She had never been very fond of shopping. Joachim looked up from the thin sheet of paper that had fallen out of the magic advent calendar. He was amazed by what he read. He had always liked secrets. Now he remembered the little box with the key in it, the one Grandma had bought him in Poland. Mama and Papa had made him a solemn promise that they would never look for the key and open the box when Joachim was asleep or at school. It would be as bad as opening someone else's letter, they had said. Until today, Joachim hadn't had any real secrets to hide in the box. But now he put the paper from the advent calendar there, locked it up, and hid the key under his pillows. When Mom and Papa woke up and came to look at the advent calendar, too, they would see only the picture of the lamb in the department store. "Do you remember?" asked Mama, and looked at Papa. "It was just like that when we were small." Papa nodded. Then we used our imagination and made up a story about each little picture. It was so much better than plastic figures that ended up being swallowed by an angry vacuum cleaner. Joachim was laughing inside. Only he knew that there had been a mysterious piece of paper inside the calendar. He pointed to the picture of the lamb. "The lamb has decided to run away from the shop," he said, "because it can't bear listening to all the cash registers and all the talk of buying and selling. But there's a little girl called Elizabeth in the shop, and she runs after the lamb because she wants to pat its soft fleece." "See what I mean?" Papa said. "What does the boy want with plastic figures?" For the rest of the day, Joachim wondered whether Elizabeth would catch up with the little lamb so that she could pat its fleece. Would he find out tomorrow? For then surely there would be another thin piece of paper. And you'll have to wait for tomorrow to see. I hope this makes you curious and that you will continue to follow this path I'm taking you on. Because I promise you, so much good stuff is ahead. And I quote this book a lot. Maybe not to you guys, but back home. And I just love like the little sentences and stuff that just makes you think, and it has so many wonderful metaphors in it, and I just love it so much. I really do, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. And with that, I'm saying goodbye for today. Love you all, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!